And welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Patrick Baker of Prime of Life Tech, and this is Senior Tech Coffee. And today we're going to be talking about fitness tech. This presentation is brought to you today by Prime of Life Tech. I have 30 years of IT experience. I provide IT education and tech support for older adults and small businesses. And just to give you a rundown of what we're going to talk about today, first off, I'm going to introduce my guest, LeeAnn Langdon, and give her an opportunity to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her background. And then we're going to be talking about the following topics: the wearable fitness tech, some fitness tech apps that you can check out, and then what it's like to have a remote training session, or even just any kind of remote fitness activity like yoga or something. So we'll have time at the end for questions, but if you have questions at any time, feel free to just chime in. And so first off, I'd like to introduce LeeAnn Langdon. She's the founder and owner of Prime of Life Fitness. You might have noticed the similarity in the business names. Full disclosure, LeeAnn is also my wife. She is a certified personal trainer, and she works with folks who are at midlife and beyond. And I'm going to let her introduce herself and give us a little bit of information about her background and her interests in fitness, and then we'll launch into the technology discussion. So LeeAnn, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks everybody for being here. So yeah, I spent 25 years in the book publishing industry and watched it change quite a bit over those years, and finally decided that I really was intent on owning my own business, having worked so many years for so many other small and mid-sized businesses. So in 2011, I jumped off a cliff and got certified as a personal trainer and opened my own business. At the time, I was, 47, 48, somewhere in there. And I was already starting to realize that things are different after a certain age. You don't exercise the same way. You certainly don't recover the same way. Your needs are different for your fitness. I was hearing from my friends and colleagues that I went to the rec center for the easy yoga class and I could barely walk the next day. And that really prompted me to think about how I could do things differently, and that there's a tremendous market. There's a tremendous need for older adults to have fitness that is not geared toward competitive sports, not geared toward becoming an Olympic athlete, that's not geared toward the biggest loser kind of stuff, right? It's the kind of fitness that just keeps us going and keeps us independent and vibrant as we age. So here we are today, and I am, thanks to the pandemic, busier than I've ever been.
LeeAnn, what's the difference, would you say, between your clients, the folks that you deal with on a regular basis, and say, your average person who goes to the gym or maybe goes to like a CrossFit type of facility?
Yeah, the big difference that I see, first of all, I would say most of the time when somebody younger looks for a personal trainer, chances are they're looking to lose weight. They're looking to lose weight, or maybe they're looking for more of a coach for a specific sport or a specific skill. The people who come to me are looking to maintain their independence. I often hear things like, I hit a certain age and it just felt like the wheels were coming off the bus. I noticed that I fell 3 times in 1 year. I noticed that I have this chronic pain that I can't seem to, I can't seem to get around it. Or I know I need to have my hip replaced, but I'm holding out for Medicare. So I need something that's going to take me that far. So it's a very different mindset and very different need. And also many of the folks are, you know, I have not heard a single person tell me, I want to look better in a bathing suit, right? We're over that. We're interested in being able to stay in our houses with stairs, being able to get on the floor with grandkids and get back up, you know, being able to climb the stairs at our grandkids' graduation, should someday we be able to do that in person again. So very different fitness needs.
Right, indeed. Excellent. Well, thank you and welcome everyone who's joined. And again, if at any time you have any questions, you can raise your hand or or use the virtual raise hand in the participants tab. So let's talk a little bit about wearable fitness tech. So there's several different types of wearable tech that you can use. And by the way, I see folks jotting down a few notes. I just want to mention that I'll share this presentation. I'll provide a link through an email to folks so that you don't have to write everything down if you don't want to. So just FYI. Anyhow, so as far as form factor is concerned, what I mean by that is basically the different sort of physical formats that these things come in. You can get anything from a smartwatch that has fitness tracking capabilities like the Apple Watch on the high end. There's the wristband varieties like the Fitbit, all the different flavors of Fitbit. I think Jawbone is one, and there's a couple of others. There's a clip-on variety. And then I've even seen one that's actually a ring. So those are kind of cool. So what form factor you choose, I think depends on a number of different things. Primarily, I think it's going to be, what are you really getting this thing for? And we'll touch on that a little bit more in just a couple of minutes. So among some of the technical features that you should be thinking about with a fitness tracker are, among other things, first off, they often come with an accompanying smartphone app. That basically allows you to configure the thing. You can do things like plug in your weight. You can personalize it. You can set up social media links. So for example, you could basically tie it to your Facebook account, for example, or your Twitter account, and be able to share your workout information socially that way. They often have the ability, if you have people on the same devices and platforms like Fitbit, for example, you can friend people through the devices app so that you can share workout information with folks. And there's some advantages there in terms of working with older adults that we'll talk about also here in just a minute. Probably the big thing that people get fitness trackers for is the step counter. Basically, there's, the recommendation is 10,000 steps a day. LeeAnn can tell us who the certifying body is that recommends that.
I actually think it was a Japanese pedometer maker.
Really?
Honestly,
Okay.
I do.
So it's not like
I do.
AMA or nothing like, not something like
No,
that?
although many years ago, Kaiser Permanente had a 10,000 step a day website. So they were clearly promoting it heavily, but I actually think it was a pedometer manufacturer that came up with that number.
Interesting. Anyhow, but the step counter is probably like the main thing that I think the vast majority of people are using those things for. Many of
Which
them
means
have
some of
heart
them
rate.
are very expensive pedometers.
Exactly.
Right. If that's all you're using it for, that's a very expensive pedometer.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the others have heart rate monitors that have varying degrees of capability, shall we say. Exercise tracking features. So you can, for example, put it into like a running mode or a walking mode or cycling or swimming. and then track your activity that way, which, of course, requires different movement, certainly different cardiovascular requirements, shall we say, to do those various activities. Sleep tracking, the quality and the duration of the sleep that you get, as I think most folks know, is critical, is essential to your overall health and well-being. And so having the ability to monitor your sleep and how well you're sleeping are all good things. So these are just an example of some of the technical features you may be looking for if you're shopping for some wearable fitness tech. Some additional technical features, both Apple and Google have fitness apps that are essentially native to those devices, whether they are smartphones or also, if you're doing like an Apple Watch or a Google type of watch. Samsung makes one. There's a few different outfits that make those. They will essentially have like the Google Fitness app built in to those devices. What do those things track? Generally speaking, they're going to track your step count. With the Apple one, there's actually a lot to that particular app. And I'm not going to really be going into the details of what the Apple and the Google Fitness apps do, but if you have if you have an Android phone or an Apple phone or a corresponding watch, you can look into the details of what those particular apps and accompanying wearable features do. But the main things that they're going to be doing are things like measuring your activity level above a certain heart rate. They're going to be measuring your step count, the amount of activity that you've had of varying types and degrees throughout the day. And you can set goals for all of those things, whether it's step count or a certain amount of high heart rate activity, those types of things. Your wearable tech may link with other fitness apps. Whether or not you want those capabilities, and we'll be talking about some of these other apps, but an example being like Map My Walk, and I think there's a corresponding running version of that as well.
Or MyFitnessPal, if you're tracking
Yeah.
diet and you want to import your activity to offset the calorie count.
Right.
So that's being able to join the data from different sources is useful for some people.
Right. Depending on the type of wearable fitness tracker that you get and its capabilities, you can actually get notifications on the thing. So like if you get text messages, calendar alerts, those things can pop up on your wearable. You can answer incoming calls. You can't actually talk through the thing. It's not like Dick Tracy. I'm dating myself, right? It's not like Dick Tracy. But you can basically answer your phone by tapping on the screen of your wearable, depending on if it has that capability. I want to briefly also touch on some of the safety features, and these are primarily, to my knowledge, exclusive to the only sample I looked at for this particular data set was the Apple Watch. It has some safety features that older adults would really benefit from. One thing being fall detection. I shared something on social media, I don't know, a couple of months ago, where I read like this 90-year-old man in Nebraska fell off of an 18-foot ladder. And he was wearing his Apple Watch, and because he was unconscious, first off, the watch detected the fall, and when it detects a fall, it pops up an alert that basically gives you the option to not call 911 in effect, right? This gentleman happened to be unconscious after his fall, so he was not able to cancel the 911 call, and so the call was placed, and he got some attention. But the guy probably would have. Who knows what would have happened otherwise? So I don't know any more details as far as like, was he alone, that sort of thing. But it's just so fall detection is a cool feature. The Apple Watch has a fairly sophisticated heart sensor, so it can detect irregularities in your heartbeat, something that you could share with your physician. And then I also read recently that the Apple Watch can detect abnormalities as far as like any COVID-19 symptoms. I'm assuming that's going to be like fever and that type of thing. So anyhow, interesting, but that's definitely on the high end as far as fitness tech is concerned. Anyhow, some of the different the manufacturers that get the highest ratings are the ones you see listed here. Apple Watch being again on the high end, being more of like a smartwatch with fitness tracking capabilities. Fitbit, Garmin, Amazfit, which is kind of an off-brand, but that's what I have, and this was like $80. And it has a heart rate tracker. It'll track sleep, step count. It has some of the different activity tracking, like cycling, running, and so forth. Anyhow, but these are the major ones. The Aura, OURA, that's the one that's the ring. So anyhow, those are the ones that are the most highly rated according to a couple of different sources, PC Magazine, ZDNet. I generally look at those two sources for technology ratings generally. So your Outside Magazine, your running magazines, they may have a shall we say stronger opinion about certain devices and their capabilities. Anyway, LeeAnn, I want to give you an opportunity to say anything you'd care to say about the wearable stuff, because I've been doing all the talking.
I'm happy to chime in here. I think that the key thing to think about if you think you might be in the market for a wearable is why. What are you trying to accomplish? I personally have only experienced using the Fitbit, and I had the old kind that clips on, and I found it useful. Some days it was motivating. If I were sitting at my desk all day and I only got 2,000 steps, it might motivate me to get up and take a walk. Mostly I found it really cool to have when we would travel, and I could see how many miles we walked when we're traveling versus when I'm home working. I also found the Fitbit, I actually found the sleep tracking very useful. I find that a lot of my clients have sleep difficulties as they get older, and particularly if they are looking to either lose weight or manage fatigue or manage difficulty recovering from their workouts, getting a better handle on their sleep habits can really help. But I have to say, I think most of that wearable technology is really designed for the younger athlete. It's not to say that it's not useful, but think about who the target market is and think about what you are trying to accomplish with a particular wearable. Now, I will say this. I had one woman tell me, my daughters want me to get one of those life alert bracelets, and I'm not going to do it because I don't want people to think that I'm old. Well, so maybe she could talk her daughters into doing an Apple Watch instead, right, to get that same fall protection feature. Or like what we did for my dad, who is living home alone. He's 89. We set up the Alexa smart speakers, and we programmed him in with emergency phone numbers for all the kids. So if he falls anywhere in the house, he just says, "Alexa, call LeeAnn," and I get a notification that it's Dad's emergency number, not just Dad calling to chat, but Dad's on the floor, right? So there are other ways to solve some of those problems that may be better suited for older adults. And it depends, right? Older adults, there's a huge spectrum. Somebody who's my age, for example, might have different needs than somebody who's 85. Lots of people have different experiences with technology.
But one thing that would be, I guess, useful, potentially useful for the adult children of older adults, is if, you know, if Dad's wearing his Fitbit or his wearable, and he's sharing that in some
Yep.
form through the apps. You know, you can check your app in the, you know, in the morning and say, oh, good, I see that Dad's already got 200
Dad
steps
took his
in this
walk.
day. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Yep. That's interesting you say that, because my dad actually does wear a Fitbit, but he does not share with us. He just texts us when he has a big mileage day.
Right.
But
So.
that is something that I think is really useful, and I know we're going to talk about this more when we talk about the apps. The social function that's built into many of the apps, particularly now when people cannot get together, just to be able to know Dad took his walk, you know, oh, I'm doing a walking challenge with my friend Sally, even though I can't see her in person. We're walking together, and we're cheering each other on. That kind of thing is pretty useful.
Right. Yeah, very cool. Well, and that leads us into our next topic, which are some of the fitness apps. And I'm going to let you take it away.
Okay. Well, so I just tried to think of all of the apps that I could think of that people I know or that I myself have used and found useful for various fitness related things. So the food and diet tracking is a big one for anybody who's trying to lose weight or gain weight or manage their weight or just eat better, right? Just track their nutrition. And one of the ones that I like is MyFitnessPal. It's got an extensive database of foods. It's relatively easy to use. And again, there's that social feature. So my clients can friend me, and I can see their food logs, and I can provide them regular feedback on what they're eating and when they're eating and so forth. MyFitnessPal is one that lets you tie in your Fitbit data or your other activity tracker data. Lose It is another similar food tracking app that another one of my clients has found really useful and easy. And same with My Model. It lets you start with an avatar at your current weight and with your current features. And then as you lose or gain weight, your avatar changes. You can set your goal so you'll know what you look like if you meet your goal. And some people who are very visually oriented find that useful. Walking and biking tracking, those are probably the next most popular types of fitness apps that I see. So whether it's the native app that goes with your Fitbit or your other wearable, or again, Map My Walk is one that I really like. Lets you just pull up the app, hit start when you start your walk. The GPS tracks you throughout your walk, and then you hit end when you're done, and it pulls up all your data. It draws a little map of your route so that if you take a regular walk through your neighborhood, you can say, oh good, that's 3/4 of a mile. Maybe I can bump it up to a mile if I add the cul-de-sac down there. It'll give you your stats, how fast you're walking and so forth. And again, there's that social feature. So my client who's trying to be walking regularly, I can see if he's doing it or not. I can cheer him on if he's getting it done. I can nudge him if he's not. It's a great way to have a a walking group that doesn't actually meet, but that lets you see what each other's doing. My understanding is that the iPhone has a built-in health app that as long as you're carrying your phone and you have certain settings enabled, it works like a pedometer, so you don't even need to buy a Fitbit or similar.
And Map My Walk works that way too, also, does it not? I mean, you don't have to have a wearable to use Map My
Correct.
Walk.
You just carry your phone. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So again, that's easy. If somebody's uncomfortable adding another device to their life, if you're already carrying your phone, you've got access to a lot of stuff. Walker is another app that I have not used, but I keep getting ads for it. It's a gamified walking app. So basically it uses psychology to motivate and encourage you to get your steps in, because your steps basically buy you power to play a game in space. I don't know, it's clearly designed for the people who need a little more fun to get motivated, right? Some people are really motivated by just seeing the data and seeing that they did it. Other people need it to be more game-like, and so that's a fun way to do that. But I often recommend for people other apps for other specific wellness-related topics. So for example, the Plant Nanny app, which I actually think is made by the same people who make the Walker app, is one that I have used religiously for several years now, and it encourages you to stay hydrated. So it lets you set a hydration goal, and you get a little plant, a little avatar of a plant, and if you don't drink your water, your plant gets droopy or dies. If you drink your water, your plant is healthy, and you get seeds, and you can buy more plants and dumb stuff like that, but mostly it just reminds you to drink your water, which becomes a huge problem for older adults. Their thirst mechanism does not work particularly well, and next thing you know, you're in the emergency room completely dehydrated and electrolytes off. So Plant Nanny is one I like. For sleep tracking, the Snore Lab is pretty interesting. It's an app that lets you actually hear your own snoring, which is eye-opening, I can tell you, but also recommends treatments, right? So it recommends options that you can try and gives you the opportunity to say, okay, well, now I'm trying not having alcohol before bed. Now I'm trying using the nasal strips. Now I'm trying using a wedge pillow. Now I'm trying a mouth device. It lets you gain the data for how your body responds. I've also recommended for people meditation and brain health apps like 10% Happier, Calm, Headspace. Kaiser Permanente has podcasts on their website and not behind their member wall. They're open to anybody, that are just recorded meditations. Can't tell you how many people are dealing with anxiety and stress, and all of that affects your wellness, your health, your well-being overall. And so if carrying around an app on your phone helps you feel better, it all works together. Your brain and your body are all connected. So I have definitely turned people there. You got to flip the page for me so I remember what's next. I know there's some more apps coming. Oh yeah, and then of course the guided workout generator. So there's unlimited apps that you can download that will generate a workout for you. Now, finding one that's appropriate for older adults is the tricky part. I have tried, I don't know, probably dozens of these and found most of them not really appropriate for older adults because they're random workout generators, so they can't really help you figure out, well, what do I do about the pain in my shoulder? What do I do about the pain in my knees? What's the workaround here? The exceptions that I found, Silver Sneakers, which is the fitness program that's available for people Medicare age, has an app called Silver Sneakers Go. It will help you find Silver Sneakers programs, but they also have workouts native in the app that you can watch on video and do, and they're obviously very specifically designed for older adults. For yoga, my favorite so far is Down Dog Yoga. It actually uses video of real human beings instead of the funny little computer avatars or just still photos. And what I like about it is the cueing, the guidance is actually quite good to help you feel what you're supposed to feel, in addition to just mimicking the posture. And if the information in the app is not enough, you can always drill into a specific pose and get a much deeper YouTube video about that specific pose and how to do it and how to get in it. It also is very customizable. You can do, you know, a 10-minute workout or a 90-minute workout or anything in between. You can do beginner 1, beginner 2, intermediate. So you're not going to just get a workout that starts you off with a headstand, right? You're not going to get a headstand if you don't, if it's not appropriate. So I think that one's a pretty well done app. And then there are plenty of Tai Chi apps as well. I just found the Tai Chi Chuan app the other day, and it looks like it's got it uses the little funny avatars instead of a real person, but it does look like it gives you a pretty good view of how to follow the steps. So those
Cool.
are some of the apps, yeah. And then for the, go ahead.
Just real quick, so all the stuff you were talking about with the Down Dog, that's with the free version, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there's a free and a
free
paid
version.
version. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I am notoriously unwilling to pay for apps.
yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I am willing to watch an ad once in a while, or you know, close an ad. But I can tell you the ads in any of these apps are pretty not obtrusive, or I wouldn't keep using them. So yeah, and if they bother you, almost all of these will have a paid version for some either monthly fee or nominal one-time fee. I actually will admit that the Snore Lab is one app that I paid for. It was like $8 one time. I thought, oh, that's so worth it. And it was. So those are some of the apps, but I also like to think about what I call low-tech tech. They're technology solutions, but you might not think of them as necessarily technology solutions. So one app that I use is an HIIT timer, high intensity interval timer. And it's just a fancy timer that lets you say, I want to do a work interval followed by a rest interval. I want to have 20 repetitions or 5 repetitions. I want my work interval to be, say, 60 seconds and my rest interval to be 30 seconds. And it just helps you regulate your workout. So I find that much easier for many people than trying to count repetitions. We're just going to do this exercise for the next 30 seconds, and then we're going to take a 15-second break. Or we're going to do an aerobic interval for a minute and a strength interval for a minute. That's an easy way to break things up and keep you on track. Another app that I use occasionally is actually a metronome app. So many of my clients will be dealing with gait issues or limp from joint replacement or some other injury that they don't even realize they have, because their brain has done such a good job of adapting, right? Working around the pain. Well, you get the hip replaced, you don't have the pain, but you still have the limp, right? So a metronome, a steady rhythm, can help people feel when they are on gait. Similarly, sometimes just taking a video of someone while they're walking or while they're doing an exercise, they might not feel that they list to one side, but when you see it, then you can feel it, right? So using photos and videos during a workout can really help people. You know, most of us don't have a wall of mirrors that we can work out in front of. So taking video can help. And the other thing I recommend to people all the time is download audiobooks or use your streaming. One of my clients watched the entire series Breaking Bad on her treadmill because she paired her guilty pleasure with her virtuous activity, right? So that was the only time she allowed herself to watch it. She had to be walking on her treadmill, but it was a great motivator for her. She wanted to get on to the next episode. So whether it's listening to an audiobook while you're walking or streaming something while you're walking, those are great tools for people. And we forget that we've got them.
Cool. Very cool. I just want to pause and see if anyone has any questions. Yeah, Teresa, go ahead.
Do you know? Yeah.
Give an example like the plant nanny. How does that work? So like when you drink water, then you have to like go to the app and then
you log it. Yep.
Okay.
So it asks you a few basic questions at the beginning to get set up what your goal should be. What's an appropriate amount of water for your day, and then you can set reminders either at a certain time interval, or you can set custom reminders during your day. You'll get a little notification on your phone, hey, it's time to drink some water. You can set up different cup sizes. So if you have, like I have my favorite 12-ounce cup, right? So I can have, I did a 12-ounce, but sometimes I have a 25-ounce bottle that I try to have done by noon, right? So I can do a 25. You can set your own cup size so that it's easy for you to enter and track. And it's such a nice little tool. I just love it.
So can you expand on the snoring app? Because you said it records so you can hear your own snoring.
Yeah, it's called Snore Lab. And you just leave your phone on the bedstand at night, plugged in, and with the app turned on, and it will rate you so you can see the sound map, and you can hear the recording, and you can gauge how it will tell you how loud it is. You can see how many times you wake up during the night. If you think you might have sleep apnea, which was what I thought, it's a useful self-diagnostic tool before you go to your doctor and say, hey, I might need a sleep test. It's also really good if your partner is complaining.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Great questions. Any other questions before we move on?
One last one. Can you
Please.
tell us which of the Tai Chi apps that you found was helpful or that you liked?
Well, I've only recently found that the Tai Chi Chuan is the actual name of it, and it came highly rated. I have not actually used it myself yet. I watched a couple of the movements, and they actually looked pretty accurate and pretty good. But I have not worked through it to see, is it buggy? Is it friendly? How obtrusive are the ads? I don't think the ads were obtrusive at all, or I would have noticed.
Thank you.
Cool. And one of the features that I know that at least Down Dog, I want to say, has is the ability to cast
right.
to a TV, right?
Yep.
And that's a pretty useful feature to have in any type of workout app, is to be able to cast it, whether it's you've got an AirPlay, I think that's the name of the Apple device. No, I'm thinking of something else. Apple TV, that's it. If you have an Apple TV, or if you have a Chromecast, a Google Chromecast, I know that personally I have used the Down Dog and have cast to the TV, and that's pretty helpful to be able to have it, on a bigger screen, to be able to see the moves and so forth.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things about the apps too. They work on, you can get them to work on whatever device you have. So that's exactly it. When I'm home and I want to do the yoga in the gym, I cast it to the TV. But when I was, at my mom's deathbed in the hospital for 3 weeks, being able to have it on my phone and go find an empty meeting room somewhere and do my yoga, which I desperately needed for my mental health, that was great. It's right there on my phone. I don't have to pack anything else with me.
Right. Cool. So let's talk a bit about remote training and what that's like.
Yeah, brave new world. So I had been talking about implementing more video chat training with clients for a long time. And I had done a few sessions, remote sessions with people, far-flung people. So I knew the technology would work, but boy, come March, what was it, March 10th, something like that, we went very quickly to virtual. And I feel pretty grateful that I had been paying attention to the pandemic's progress for a while, since it's, you know, affecting my client base pretty directly. So I suspected we might need to be going onto stay-at-home orders, and I started transitioning people or teaching people early on. Here's the technology we have available. You know, let's see, can we test this out and get it set up? So I transitioned group fitness classes to Zoom and individual clients to Zoom or FaceTime. I didn't have anybody who used Skype or Google Meet or Duo, but those are, again, easy options for many people. And I have to say, 75 or 80% of my clients made the transition in the first week of the shutdown. And most of them have remained virtual. So that has been tremendous, right? It's a way for my clients to continue to have some routine, to continue to have something to do, to continue to have some kind of social interaction with somebody. And I can really see the difference it makes. The few people who did not transition to the virtual and just waited for it to be allowed for me to come back to their homes, they had setbacks. Some of them had some pretty dramatic setbacks in the 6 weeks or so that we weren't able to work out together. So it's really been a godsend. You know, one of my clients who moved away to Grand Junction, you know, and we had said our fond goodbyes, but now we're working by Zoom again because she decided that since she's not going to a gym in Grand Junction, she needs something. So what people need: a laptop or a PC that has a video camera, or a tablet or a smartphone. I know very few people, there are a few, but very few people under the age of 80 don't have one of those options. And between my own limited expertise and my dear husband, we've been able to get everybody connected. So the technology is actually pretty user-friendly. I find Zoom to be feature-rich and a little bit more complicated than, say, a FaceTime, right? Which is just like picking up the phone. But Zoom allows me to have group sessions, and you know, once people have done it 4 or 5 times, they get it. So
when the restrictions were loosened a bit, I mean, you still really can't go into the facilities where you were teaching group classes before, but now
right.
you've got these hybrid classes going. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So so I go to 2 independent living retirement communities, so 55 plus, but they're all independent living, varying degrees of independence. We used to do regular in-person group classes, but of course those are now very limited, and we have to have much smaller class sizes. So what I do at one place is a hybrid class. We're only allowed 8 people in the room, but we have more people than that who want to join in the class. So I'm simultaneously Zooming the class so that people who want to stay in their apartments or who couldn't get in on the sign up can still join the class. And that's been terrific. We've had people who, you know, that's their only social activity, is coming down for fitness class. So many of them want to come in person, but I had a couple who, they had an appointment at the VA hospital, and they felt they needed to then isolate for another 2 weeks after that. So they joined from their apartment. They didn't have to miss class. They just couldn't do it in person, and it's worked out pretty well. It's a little weird, right? Because I'm speaking to people in the room. They can't see everybody in the room at the same time, so there are multiple conversations going on. So that's a little bit weird, but we're working it out. And I found on the classes that are exclusively Zoom group classes, the key thing is I ended up having to just mute everybody, right? So we do a little chit chat at the beginning, but then I have to mute everybody because some people don't realize that we can hear everything they're saying to each other in their apartment, or we can hear them on the phone, or that, or that you get the weird feedback where there's the time lag and their volume is so loud that I can hear myself coming back through their speaker. So muting everybody works. It's a little boring for me because then it's just me droning on. But people are grateful to be able to still feel like they're staying active and having their routine, I think, is the big thing.
And also, one of the things that I've overheard you say to your clients, since I'm able to sort of sit off camera and listen in periodically, but also that you've said that you've mentioned to them as well, is that once you teach them how to use Zoom, they can use it. They can use it for, to talk to their kids, to talk to the people down the hall, to their friends across the country. And it's helping to fill that communication deficit that people are having right now due to the pandemic. So so that's definitely been a boon. And I think something that's pretty well known is that social isolation is horrible for your mental health. I mean, for everybody's mental health, but especially, I think, for older adults.
Yep.
So.
Very much so. And yeah, I definitely encourage people to, once you've got it downloaded, host a meeting, right? Call your neighbor. You don't have to, and it's so much nicer to just see them face to face,
Sure. Anyway, I flipped the slide if you wanted to.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
continue.
Okay. Yeah. So improving the experience with remote training. Yeah. So this bad boy, this little microphone headset thing has been a godsend for me. So
I got the same thing.
Right. So I'm using an iPad, and it's convenient when I'm sitting here. I can have it pretty close to me, and I probably wouldn't have to yell. But if I'm exercising, I have the iPad across the room because I need people to be able to see my whole body, which means I would really have to yell to be heard. So this little guy lets me not have to yell. And it also makes it so that the microphone doesn't pick up quite so much of the background noise. When the trash truck goes by, or I don't know, some people can hear the magpies outside the windows, but it limits how much background noise gets through. So the wireless headset really helps for me and for my clients. I can tell a difference. The ones who use a headset makes it a much nicer experience. And then the other thing that's really handy to have is a good adjustable stand for your device. So I have my iPad on this tall gooseneck stand that lets me, be hands-free, lets me point it up, down, wherever I need it to be, so that if we're down on the floor, I can angle it down to the floor. I see this a lot in my group calls. I can tell everybody who has a laptop because that's what I see, right? I see their ceiling instead of their face. So having a good stand is handy, right? It makes it easier for us to see one another. And let's see. Oh yeah, and the other thing that's sort of important is teaching everybody to use the mute button. And then also I found teaching people, making sure people understand the gallery view versus active speaker view in Zoom makes a big difference. You know, whether they want to see me as the active speaker or whether they want to see the other people in the group. You know, I'm a big advocate for use your fitness for what you need. And if what you need is to see your neighbors' faces, then see your neighbors' faces, right? You'll get enough exercise.
Well, it's probably the closest thing they're going to get to being in a group class anytime soon, unless
Right.
they have the ability to attend one of your hybrid classes. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
for sure. Any questions from anyone? Oh yeah, Teresa,
Teresa.
go ahead.
Do you have a recommendation for a wireless headset? Which one is good? I mean, the one that you use is very clear.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. I literally just got on Amazon and looked for one that had good reviews. This one got a lot of good reviews, and I think I spent $35 for it, and they gave us a second one for free. So that was a pretty good deal. So yeah, I didn't need tremendous battery life. They're easy to charge. I think there's a lot of options out there that would work. You know, if you're not certain, choose a less expensive one first would be my advice. I don't think it makes for most of our purposes, I don't think it makes a huge difference.
It's Bluetooth. It's USB chargeable.
Yep.
I want to say the name is Comexion. It's
Yeah, that sounds right.
yeah, Comexion, I think.
And I was looking for one that had this has the little loop behind the ear so that I can bounce around and wave my head and it doesn't fall out of my head. So that was important.
Right. Yeah. And I think if you spend any appreciable amount of time on Zoom, well, especially for those of us who have any degree of hearing loss,
Right.
I've got this thing sitting in my ear. I've got the microphone right next to my mouth here. I don't have to get too close to the laptop. I can back off a ways, and you can still hear me just fine because it's right next to my head. So
Yeah.
the only thing I haven't tried it for that I haven't tried at all anyway, it would be like recording music. That would be, singing and playing the guitar or something.
Oh
But
yeah.
I don't know.
Give
Anyway,
that a try.
yeah. So we're kind of at the end of the end of the presentation, the official presentation, and just want to open up the floor for questions. So if anyone has any other questions, I'm going to unmute everybody. Pam, go ahead.
Well, it's not necessarily a question, but more of feedback. The Zoom comments for the seniors, we are relying on that so much at this time because we can't do any group activities. It has been unbelievably wonderful for our folks just to see families, and they're learning how to do it, and they do need coaching on that, and they're a little bit fearful of it, but we guide them through it, and it has been truly a lifesaver because this COVID, keeping our folks isolated it's horrible. It's really, really horrible for these folks. So I would say yay to Zoom, thank heaven, so that they can see their families and we can do activities with them, and they're getting it, they're learning it, and it's a good thing. So we love it. We've been loving it.
Cool.
Very cool. All right.
Oh, just one last comment.
Please. Yeah, go ahead.
So I work for the state program that provides free telephones and accessories for people with hearing, vision, mobility, speech, memory loss. But
cool.
There is, if you want to go to the website TEDPA, that's for states outside of California. They have similar programs.
Nice.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you for
That's good to
sharing
know.
that.
Thank you.
All right. So just a quick look ahead at the Senior Tech Coffee schedule. I've got the September dates set up, and you can find out more about it at the link you see at the bottom. Going to be talking about personal safety tech on September 10th. Think things like some of the more safety-oriented features of the Apple Watch, or some Internet of Things, IoT devices, kind of like what the Alexa solution that LeeAnn's father has. Those are some of the types of things that we'll be talking about at that talk. And then on September the 24th, going to have a session about older adults and social media, and I'm going to have a guest for that. Her name is Joyce Foistel. A couple of you might know her. She has a business called Boomer's Social Media Tutor, and basically she teaches older adults, and well, really people of any age, how to use their social media. And so we'll be talking about some different things then. This is LeeAnn's contact information if you want to learn more about LeeAnn and what she's doing. And again, I'll include a link to a PDF of these slides after the call, and you can you don't have to write everything down. And then my contact information will be included as well. So anyhow, really appreciate everyone joining us today. Teresa, this is your
really
second time around. I appreciate you coming back. And
good information.
Oh, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was useful. So thanks for joining again, and hopefully we'll see you again in September. Take care, everyone. And
Take
thank
care.
Thank you.
LeeAnn.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.